Right now, if your head hurts, relief is one pill away. You swallow it, wait 20 minutes, and the pain quietly disappears. You don't even think about it. But for over 300,000 years, that pill did not exist. No aspirin, no anesthesia, no numbing shot at the dentist, nothing. And pain was everywhere. In every broken bone, every rotting tooth, every childbirth, every wound that healed slowly and screamed the whole time. So how did anyone survive a life soaked in pain? The answer starts with something that sounds insane. They drilled holes into living human skulls, and the people they did it to survived. This is the oldest surgery on Earth. It's called trepanation. You take a living, conscious person, and with a sharpened piece of flint or obsidian, you scrape or drill a hole straight through their skull. No painkiller, no sleep. And we have found hundreds of these skulls from every inhabited continent, some over 7,000 years old. Here's the part that stops you. We know most of these people lived. When you cut bone and the person survives, the edges of the hole slowly grow smooth and rounded as new bone regrows. On skull after skull, that healing is there. Some individuals were trepanned 2 or 3 separate times in their lives and kept going. At Neolithic sites in France, more than 70 to 80% of trepanned skulls show that kind of healing. In ancient Peru, researchers tracked survival rates over time, around 40% in the earliest era, climbing to as high as 91% by around 1,000 years ago. To put that in perspective, during the American Civil War, thousands of years later, with metal tools and doctors, skull surgery killed roughly half of all patients. Stone Age surgeons were beating that with rocks. Why would anyone do this? To relieve pressure after a head injury, to treat crushing headaches or seizures, and sometimes, they believed, to let out whatever evil spirit was trapped inside, causing the pain. Whatever the reason, think about what it means. These people were awake, feeling all of it, and they endured, because pain was just the price of staying alive. So if they couldn't switch pain off, how did they take the edge off? It turns out they were surprisingly good chemists. Start with the most famous painkiller in history, aspirin. You think of it as modern. It isn't. Aspirin comes from willow bark, which contains a compound called salicin. The body turns it into salicylic acid, the direct ancestor of the aspirin in your cabinet. And humans figured this out an incredibly long time ago. A Sumerian clay tablet from around 3000 BC lists willow as a remedy. The Egyptian Ebers papyrus from about 1550 BC recommends it for pain and inflammation. Hippocrates, 2,400 years ago, reportedly used willow for headaches and the pain of childbirth. The pill wasn't invented until 1897 when the Bayer company synthesized it. So people were dosing themselves with the active ingredient of aspirin for at least 5,000 years before anyone pressed it into a tablet. They didn't know the chemistry, they just knew the tree worked, and they went further than swallowing bark. Meet Ötzi, the 5,300-year-old Iceman found frozen in the Alps. His body is covered in 61 tattoos, but they're not decoration. They're small clusters of dots and lines, and roughly 80% of them sit directly over classical acupuncture points. Even more telling, when scientists x-rayed underneath those tattoos, they found worn, arthritic joints, his knees, his ankles, his lower back. The tattoos map almost exactly onto the places where he was in pain. Many researchers now believe this was a Stone Age pain treatment, a kind of tattoo acupuncture, pressed into his skin thousands of years before acupuncture was ever written down. Then there were the drugs, real ones. The opium poppy, the source of morphine and heroin, was already being grown by farmers in Neolithic Europe more than 7,000 years ago. We found its seeds in their ancient villages. The Sumerians are said to have called it the joy plant. In the Andes, people were chewing coca leaves, the raw source of cocaine, to numb pain and hunger, going back thousands of years. And across the world, humans learned to use nightshade plants like henbane and mandrake, powerful, dangerous sedatives that could knock a person halfway out. Get the dose wrong and the medicine kills you. They learned anyway by watching people die until they got it right. But here's the truth no plant could fix. For most of human history, most pain was simply endured, wide awake, with nothing. A broken leg was yanked straight and bound by hand. A deep wound was sealed by pressing burning hot stone or metal against your flesh. Cauterization, trading agony now for not bleeding out later. Teeth rotted in the jaw for years. Childbirth came with no relief and a very real chance of death. Ötzi himself died with an arrow in his shoulder and healed, broken ribs. His body was a record of pain he'd simply lived through. So how did the human body survive all of that? Because of something you're carrying right now, your own built-in painkiller. When you're badly hurt, your brain and body release chemicals called endogenous opioids, beta endorphins and enkephalins. Here's the wild part. They lock onto the exact same receptors in your brain as morphine and heroin. Your body makes its own opioids. Scientists only discovered them in the 1970s, but they've been running in humans for hundreds of thousands of years. They don't erase pain. They turn the volume down so a wounded human could still run, still fight, still crawl to safety instead of freezing in agony. This is also why placebos work. When you truly believe a treatment will help, your brain releases its own opioids in anticipation. Real chemistry, real relief, from a sugar pill. A prehistoric healer chanting over you, pressing a tattoo into your skin, giving you a bitter root. Some of that worked because your own brain finished the job. You feel a piece of this every single day. Stub your toe, and what do? You grab it and rub it. That's not random. Rubbing floods the nerve with a competing signal that partly blocks the pain from reaching your brain. A system scientists call gate control. You are using the exact same trick your ancestors used 100,000 years ago, without being taught, without thinking. It's already in you. So step back and look at what pain really is. It hasn't changed. The broken bone, the burn, the headache. They hurt your ancestors exactly as much as they hurt you. The only thing that changed is that now, a pill stands between you and the pain. For them, there was nothing standing there at all. They didn't beat pain. They lived inside it. They set their own bones, drilled their own skulls, chewed bitter bark, and buried the ones who didn't make it, all while feeling everything. And the same emergency morphine your brain pumps out today was pumping through them, beside a fire, 300,000 years ago. The relief you feel is not modern. It was already there, built into the body, long before the first pill. You didn't conquer pain. You're just the first human in history who gets to switch it off. And that might be the rarest luxury our species has ever known.